So, my name is Mary Kolb. This is the voiceover for the PowerPoint presentation on consumer behavior. This is just one of the many topics we'll be covering this semester. This is a multi-step process. I'd like to start with what consumer behavior is exactly. It is basically the definition of why consumers should buy a company's product. What does this product do for the consumer? Basically, each purchaser or buyer of any kind of product anywhere, which is pretty much everyone at some point in time, we are all trying to satisfy needs, whether that's at the supermarket or the grocery store, the mall, on a golf course. It doesn't necessarily have to be like a product in a store that we're buying. It could be a service, a plumber, anything at all. We're all trying to satisfy some kind of need. These needs can be psychological, they can be personal, or we could be trying to satisfy some kind of social influencer. Psychological needs, just anything we could need to keep ourselves safe both physically and mentally. Personal needs, anything we would personally need that's not necessarily connected to anyone else, things that influence our lives solely that we would need for our own self-preservation. And then social influencers may not necessarily be true needs at all. These are connected with wanting to identify with certain groups. If someone in our friend circle, for example, has a really nice Nike jacket and then it becomes the trend to have a Nike jacket, do you necessarily need a jacket that has the Nike swoosh on it? No, but you want to identify with that. It fills your social need to be within a certain group, so you're appealing to your social influence when you buy that particular product. And that's what consumers, the process that they're thinking of. This is the consumer decision process. There are 5 distinct steps. They are need recognition, information search, alternative evaluation, purchase and consumption, and then post-purchase. And we'll go over each of these individually. Need recognition is at the top of the list. We kind of just went over a little bit on the previous slide, the different kinds of needs that consumers are trying to satisfy. The psychological, personal, and the social. Let's move on a little bit here. So for the need recognition and information search, we'll start with these two. So when consumers first recognize that they have a need, we'll give another example aside from the social one. If you realize you have really high grass and you have a need for a lawnmower, let's say, you have need recognitions when you realize that you need to purchase a product. There's a product out there that has value to you, is valuable for you to have your lawn cut, and so you are needing to purchase a lawnmower. So the next step in the process after you recognize the need, you would need to do research, conduct an information search to find the best kind of product that would be right for you. The longest lasting lawnmower, the most fuel efficient, anything like that, anything that would make it the best product to cut your lawn. Now there are 2 ways you can do the information search on the product. It can be either an internal search or an external search. Some buyers will keep it an internal search and they'll just base it off of the knowledge that they already have of the product. Just based off of their previous experience with lawnmowers, for example, you can make your purchase. You don't have to go anywhere else or talk to anybody else in order to buy a lawnmower. Just based off your personal knowledge, you can make that decision. On the other hand, you could do an external search and seek information from outside sources. You could ask your neighbors, you could go to a dealership, research online, just see what kind of products are out there before you make your decision, before you make your purchase. Overall, they're just trying to find what product would meet their needs the best, what's the most functional, what does the job to the extent that they need it. And buyers fall into 2 different categories with their decision making. Each has a different locus of control. There's the internal locus buyers that really believe they can control their lives, that their decisions have bearing and have meaning on their lives, and that they are in control. And usually that kind will really this buyer really thinks through their purchase decisions. They'll do a lot of research and pay a lot of attention to the things that they're buying to make sure they get the best, because they really believe they're in control. On the other hand, there's the buyers with the external locus, and they believe that their destiny is controlled by fate and that they don't really have a lot of control over anything. And so they're much more willing to do less research or spend without thinking about it quite so hard. So it's just the two different kind of personalities or mindsets that consumers have when they start looking at products. Consumers will also see a lot of risks when they're starting their product search. There are pretty much 5 major risks that we talk about here. There's the performance risk, which is the danger of poor performance in a product. So once you've made the decision, after you've already bought the product, there's always just this chance that it's not going to perform the way you want it to. And that's something consumers think about when they're trying to purchase a product, when they're looking at it, testing it, just, is this really going to do what I want it to do? Is it going to meet my expectations? And then there's the financial risk, always. Obviously, you're trading something of value that you have in order to get something else of value. It's a trade-off, so you have to give something in order to get something. And there's a cost with that, the cost of purchasing a product. It's different for everyone. It's different for each product. But there's a risk involved with that can really intimidate buyers. There's also the social risk. Let's go back to our Nike jacket. What if Nike suddenly, maybe that's not the most popular brand anymore, and then suddenly your Nike jacket won't cut it anymore? So there's a danger that not everybody's going to approve of that purchase you make, and you take that risk. The psychological risk, there can be harm if that product doesn't function the way you need it to. After you spent the money, it might not do the job. And then it might also, with the psychological risk, it might make people feel that the product is conveying the wrong image, and that might really dissatisfy the consumer, and it poses a lot of risk when they're trying to make that purchase and make a good decision that they're buying. So with all that going through their heads, they're making lots of alternative evaluations, which is the next step in our 5-step decision-making process. They're looking at all the other products out there, and they're trying to determine which one is the best for them, if they can make a better buy than the one they have right in front of them. They're looking at all of their options, and they're really seeing which one looks like it'll do the best job. So comparing and contrasting, looking at universal sets, retrieval sets, evoked sets, just some different options here. Evaluative criteria, determinant attributes, looking at all the different angles of each product that they could get, and really trying to get the one that's best for them. And then finally, there's the consuming the purchase. The best product is determined, the decision is made. They bite the bullet, they spend the money or whatever it is that they're trading to get this item, and they finally have the product and they consume it. We often think of food or use it up, or they put it to use. You get your lawnmower and you start driving it. You start using it. You start cutting grass with it. Anything. So after you buy the product, you put it into use and you start getting everything you can out of it. Then, of course, we come to what may be it is the final step in the 5-step decision-making process, and maybe the most crucial, and that is the post-purchase. It's the reflection the buyer has after the decision is made, the money is spent, the product is used, and the final, what did that product do for the consumer? Did it meet the expectations? Is it doing its job? Is it what the consumer wanted? This is huge in the buying and selling world and the marketing world, because the way, especially with social media nowadays, the way buyers talk to one another, it's so easy to rate products and rate their customer experiences. It really has a huge effect on future purchases for that company. It can turn a lot of customers away, or it can bring a lot of customers to that company based on that one customer's experience. So their post-purchase decision, after they evaluate everything, look at it, did it do what I wanted to, they'll often leave a rating, and maybe they'll come back and maybe they won't, and maybe they'll bring others with them. And this has a huge effect on the future sales of that company. So negative feedback is extremely harmful, and positive feedback can do so much to help a company. So companies really have to be careful the decision rules. There's going to be the compensatory decision rule. Consumers can be trading attributes of products. So if a product doesn't have everything that they're needing, they'll often trade off, like, oh, I need this jacket, and I really want something with a zipper, but I also want pockets on my jacket. Well, you don't have both. Well, this one, the pockets button, but the main part of the jacket zips. Okay, that's a trade-off. I'll get half of what I want, and I'll trade the attributes. It's a compensatory style. And then there's the non-compensatory decision rule that the buyers are looking at, and they'll eliminate all other attributes of the product, and they'll just focus on one. Like, oh, I just want a jacket that zips. I don't care if it doesn't have a hood. I don't care if it has any pockets. I don't care if the pockets close. Nothing. I just want something that zips. And they'll ignore all other attributes of the product to get just that one thing that they want, because that has value for them. And then there's the post-purchase cognitive dissonance. A lot of consumers can feel this if their beliefs aren't matching up with their practices. Often happens if they're spending a lot more than they normally would on maybe a luxury item. A lot of people can have a really hard time getting their heads around that and really finding peace with themselves and spending that kind of money, maybe on something they didn't really need. And so it is so important for companies to be in touch with all these different feelings and phobias, really, of their consumers, and making sure that they meet all of their needs, provide them with the products that they want, and give feedback to the reviews, and really stay in touch with their customers and make sure that they're giving them the services they need. Just creating that good customer relationship, maintaining customers, and hopefully bringing in new ones. So it's so important for them to know their buyers, and then the buyers can know their products that way. I really hope you enjoyed this brief summary of the consumer buying process, and thank you very much. God bless.